Hello and welcome to Being an Entrepreneur. Today we have a short conversation with Minh. He's the Managing Partner and Vice President of Client Services at Dustland.
Hi there.
So Minh, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I have been working in the digital agency world since 2000. It's something that I had a lot of experience doing. I've worked for many of the big agencies in Los Angeles, such as Razorfish, Smith, Rosetta. So I've definitely had my run through the different major agencies, and I think just having that experience, it gave me a lot of confidence to think that I could do something very similar on my own.
Great, well thank you. So could you tell us a little bit about how you and how your partners came up with the idea for Dustland?
Yeah, it was about 5 years ago during the height of the recession, and the economy had sort of imploded, and I was out of a job. The company I'd worked for no longer could make payroll, and so I ended up being unemployed. And for myself, I had just earned an MBA. I had tons of experience, so I was really confident that I could pretty easily find a job, and I had no problems getting interviews. I interviewed a lot, but nobody would give me a job, so I never got a job offer. So it's very interesting because I think I was sort of pushed into entrepreneurship because I guess you could say I had a big enough ego where I did not want to take a pay cut or change positions. I wanted to be a director or vice president level individual, and nobody was going to give it to me, so I decided to do it on my own.
Oh, excellent. And what research did you do to support and develop the concept that became Dustland?
Yeah, the first part is that I explored sort of informally my network, and I think that's really important to have a very strong LinkedIn. So before I officially ventured out on my own, I think I did some testing of the waters. I called some key figures within the industry and people I knew, people who could really help out, and I just informally said, hey, if I had an agency, what would you be willing to do business with me? Because when you start off, as far as my business, we're a services organization, so I don't have a product. All I have is my personal reputation. So that's what I try to leverage. I went to my network and I said, hey, I'm going to start my own thing. Would you be willing to give me a project? Would you be willing, based on my experience, to give my company a chance? So that was sort of the research I did. It was just making sure my network was ready to give me that opportunity.
Excellent, thanks. So you mentioned you have an MBA and you've worked for a number of large corporations. How did that background prepare you to become your own boss? And also, what new lessons did you learn as you became your own boss?
Yeah, I mean, when you start your own company, the MBA really comes in handy because you're doing a lot of stuff that's out of your normal comfort zone, a lot more finances, human resources, recruiting. So, it gives you the foundation in which, as a generalist running a business, you need to know so many aspects. And I think an MBA, does give you those kinds of skills. But I think more important than, how to, read a financial statement or anything like that, I think, for me personally, just confidence. When you walk into a meeting, that, you're as prepared as you can be. And I think so many times since my MBA, I feel like, I'm less willing to back down from a conversation because I do have an extra level of confidence because of my education and my background that I'm not necessarily any smarter. I'm just less willing to give in to a discussion, or I'm less timid to participate in a discussion because of the degree.
Excellent.
And then since starting the company, you know, it's trial by fire. You know, you're gonna everything from hooking up, you know, email for your company to starting payroll to keeping the books clean to labor laws. You know, there's a lot involved in running your own small business. So, you know, there are details that obviously the MBA cannot cover, but you know, on-the-job training is what you get, and those are kind of the big areas that you sort of pick up as you start your own company.
Excellent. So you, I think, hinted at some of them, but what were some of the biggest challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them?
You know, the recruiting in services is really important, and you know, when you first start out, you don't have an office. So we did our first interviews in coffee shops, restaurants, even bars. I mean, we tried everything. You know, those first few employees, you know, they're really hard. It's really hard because they can go to a safe place. You know, there's high demand for people in our industry, so for someone to give you a chance, it's really difficult. So for us, you know, recruiting those first employee number 1, 2, and 3 was very difficult. And you know, the way we overcame that was really, we looked at ourselves and said, you know, giving them a little piece of equity is just wise at this point. I mean, that's not for everyone. You know, equity is a very expensive way of getting people, but you know, for us, like, we saw some people who we said, wow, I can't imagine our company without them. I said, you know, they could work anywhere. They don't have to work at our little podunk operation. You know, we don't even know if we're going to make payroll next month. So, you know, we gave up some equity early on, and it was a sacrifice that we never regretted. It was, you know, being 100% owner of a company worth 0 doesn't mean a lot. You know, give a little bit away at the beginning, because you know, you're gonna need these people. It's really hard to do everything on your own. So I think a lot of people are too greedy, and they try to hang on to 100%, or they don't partner up, or they, you know, don't take that risk and bring in, you know, key people who are going to be the foundation for the organization. So, you know, that's, for me, my biggest challenge early on, and you know, that was my personal solution to that scenario.
Excellent. So your initial employees were motivated and excited about your business, partly because of the vision you had for it, but also the equity stake. What about other types of stakeholders and other types of folks that you needed to get involved? So potential investors, potential clients, potential partners. How did you get them excited about Dustland?
Well, you know, some of it is, you know, just hard work and getting, you know, your message out there, your differentiator, and really, you know, mastering the elevator pitch. You know, like, it's really true. People are not going to pay attention as much as you love your product, as much as you love your offering. You know, the reality is that, you know, people passing by, you only have their attention for a few seconds. So one, I think, you know, we definitely hit the ground running, just hitting our network with a very brief, succinct message about how we were different. Getting started as far as funding goes, you know, we didn't take on a major loan. We used our personal investments to kind of get going, but, you know, it's never been easier to do that. I think, you know, with everything being in the cloud, you know, you don't really need a fancy phone system. You can use something like, we use something called eVoice, even 5 years since the time we started, for like, you know, $10, $15 a month, and it feels like we have a very advanced phone system. You know, everything gets forwarded to your cell phone. I mean, eFax, Office Online, Office 365 Online. So, you know, a lot of things that used to require a lot of manpower and a lot of knowledge, you just buy it, it's software as a service, it's online, and it really helps you get started. You don't. It just it's so much easier now than ever to start a business. Even incorporating or picking the type of corporation you want to be, it's never been easier with products, with many self-help products online. So like LegalZoom, for example, obviously being the biggest. So for me, I can't think of a better time in history where things are so set up for you to at a relatively low cost be able to start and get the infrastructure for your business in place without having a lot of capital. Obviously, it's different if you're manufacturing or any capital intensive enterprise, but certainly in services where I'm at, there's a lot of offerings online that keep the cost pretty low.
Well, that's great. That's some great advice, and I know that's something everyone is always concerned about: financing, raising capital, etc. So you've given us some great tips here, and also emphasized the importance of the elevator pitch and really a succinct message to quickly convey the essence of what you're offering. Do you have any other advice for people who are considering starting their own business?
Yeah, that is mostly to go ahead and do it. I mean, one of the things you'll find is that you're going to have an idea and you're going to have to weed out your advice, because you're going to have people who love you, and no matter how bad your idea is, they're going to say it's a great idea because they just want to support you. And then you have a lot of naysayers who, deep down, they don't really want to see you succeed. So you kind of have to weed through all of that to figure out if you really have a great idea. But it's the most rewarding thing. Our first 3 years, I made significantly less than I would have just, getting an average salary for my position, working at a company. But I could tell you those were some of the best 3 years of my life. I mean, it's a totally different mindset and lifestyle to run your own organization, to sort of eat and breathe your own product. So it's worth the risk, and I just think that for me, I had nothing to lose. I was unemployed. It didn't feel like I was risking a lot. But for others, people who make really good salaries, I think, even them, I think, consider, the overall lifestyle and being able to put your heart and soul into a single product or service. My advice is go and try it. Try it for 6 months. Try it for a year, and go out there and do it.
That's excellent advice. Thank you. So one of the reasons we're talking about entrepreneurship is we have an online certificate in entrepreneurship focused more on the creative professions. So the digital arts, media design, graphic design, architecture, all of those sorts of things. And there are 5 courses in the certificate: exploring entrepreneurship, finding your entrepreneurial voice, so really kind of getting a sense of what's important about being an entrepreneur and kind of laying the appropriate groundwork. There's a class in designing a business model, a class in creating your own business that touches on some of the topics that you mentioned, Minh, about finding the right people, human resources, what are some of the basic financial statement and accounting that you'll need to know. And then finally, building your brand identity. What's the story that you're going to tell, and how are you going to get people excited? Now, I understand you've studied online before. What advice do you have to people who are thinking about taking a course, a program like this online?
Yeah, in fact, I did all elements of my undergrad, which I achieved at Walden University. And even my executive MBA had online components to it. And I think, the people who are going to excel online are the same people who are going to be good at entrepreneurship, which means they're self-starters. They're people who can self-drive themselves through a program and, are just motivated to get to a certain goal. So, for me, I found that I could learn just as easily, just as efficiently online. And I like certain aspects of it even more than in classroom. I like reading things at my own pace. I like, being able to rewind and go back and re-listen to things. So long as, there's still that support when you have questions or you have things that you need to resolve. But in a lot of ways, I see a lot of advantage in studying online. And so that's why I did both my undergraduate degree as well as partial of my master's degree online.
Great, thanks. Well, just to explain a little bit more for folks who might not be completely familiar about learning online, in our model, learning online is what we call asynchronous. So there are no set login times. You don't need to be online at the same time as your instructor or your fellow classmates. But there are weekly deadlines that help you maintain that structure to your study and pacing. It's very collaborative. Again, every course is instructor-led, and you'll be studying with students from around the world. Classes are 8 weeks. Each class lasts 8 weeks, and the next time we'll be starting up classes is January 12th. And it's approximately about 15 hours of learning per week. So in that 15 hours per week, every week has a set of objectives, what you're going to be learning, what you'll achieve, a set of learning resources. So most courses will have readings that are presented online, may ask you to look at different company websites and give feedback. We also have many multimedia presentations where faculty members, where experts in different areas of the field are presenting ideas to you. And each week we have different discussion topics, so you're engaging with your instructor and your fellow classmates about that weekly topic. And finally, we always have a great emphasis on the practicality. So every assignment is a practical application of what you've been learning that week. And you get individualized feedback from your instructor so that you get suggestions on how you can improve going forward. And in terms of our elevator speech, so why? Why would you study entrepreneurship with Pearl Live? Well, again, that international perspective. We've worked with faculty, subject matter experts from around the world to develop the program. You'll also be studying with students from around the world. Again, a very focused application of skills, very practical and designed to help you get ready and get those skills needed to start in the workforce and start your own business. We also have a social component to it. We have a community called Frontier where other global folks from around the world who are very design-minded are sharing ideas and contributing, building out portfolios. We have 24/7 technical support, so always someone to go to. And finally, Pearl Live provides a mentor to guide you through your entire learning experience. So, Minh, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you so much for talking to us. Really appreciate it.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.